So now
Force,
we can formulate that, hopefully without interruption, into
the alternative hypothesis. If mass, then mass attracts mass.
Yeah. If you put
You see how easy it is, Anthony? You see how easy it is? Yeah?
Yeah.
Just perfectly.
That prediction was almost scientific.
Oh, don't start.
I'm just wanting to thank you for Spurs' rope-a-dope today, though.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, Spurs is a better baller than the Ballers.
That's a you've got to understand this Einsteinian, this Newtonian, all of this. And this is where, if I don't know if Anthony's still there, but this is where Fight the Fight was able to keep him in online or wherever with this argument, because to the Globers, they're exactly the same. They're identical. There's only one difference, which is the mechanism, the cause in their world. The cause
No.
why
In their world, they say that, Spurs, to justify the bullshit that comes out of the mouth. In reality, it's not that. They're not the same. But they need it to be the same because they want to be able to say, well, we can calculate the force because the maths tells us that there's a force there, F equals ma. Well, maths isn't where the evidence lies, is it?
it sounded like from the outside.
Hold on. You need to have them write down the hypothesis and identify the independent dependent variable. As soon as he said Arthur Eddington, he needed to share his screen and write down the hypothesis. Why have I done that for about 2.5 years on Nathan's show? I've done it for a reason.
I got him to identify the independent. Did you hear what I said to him? Identify the independent variable, and he said location and time. And I was like, fucking hell. So we ended up in a circular argument.
Yeah. Time as an independent variable is such a train wreck, but we'll get to that in a second. The point is to have him write it down.
Hold on. Let's just do this.
Not only him, everyone.
I'm agreeing with you,
Have them show the hypothesis, identify the independent dependent variable so they can't change it, number one. And number two, so you can beat it over the head right in front of everyone with a nail spike 44-inch Louisville Slugger.
Right, let's do this.
That's why
I want to do it. I want to do it. If you will, please. Quantum Eraser, please can you present that screen that establishes independent and dependent variables? And if you will you?
Breakfast is coming.
Oh, please. I won't, just so long as you can get it up on screen. I don't even need to ask you questions while you're eating about it.
All right. 1 second. Yeah.
Perfect. So, Anthony, when we had the conversation this morning, I'm like, take them through the process. Well, I didn't say this then, but I'm going to say it now. If it's written down, i.e. presented, you can, at the end, you can form a logical syllogism and take them through their explanation based on what they're claiming. So in this instance, we've got time as the independent variable. So then you can actually formulate it by writing it down. So they're saying, okay, right, my independent variable, the cause that's going to be varied and manipulated is going to be time. And the effect is going to be whatever he's going to claim is the effect. What was the effect he was claiming, by the way?
The light, the star being seen from behind the sun because of the warping of space-time.
Oh.
It's not a logical syllogism. It's the non sequitur / tautology test. There we go. It's written down for us. Perfect. Don't even need QE because his literature's that good. Anyway, perfect. So you can. So can you repeat that?
So his observation is that he can see a star that shouldn't be seen because the sun's in the way. He can see the star because the bending of space-time permits the bending of light. That's what he said.
Okay, so the phenomena is the visibility of this star. So the appearance of the star is the phenomena. The dependent variable would be the star and its appearance. Yeah? So you've got if time, then the appearance of this star.
Say again.
So the tautology test is just to formulate that which they say is the cause and that which they say is the effect. So that's the first. So that's what we're doing at this stage. So I'm just getting you to agree as though you were Craig. So we've got if independent variable, that's time, then the appearance of star. Correct?
Yeah, that's what it's. And geographic location.
Oh, what do you mean and?
Well, he said location and time, and I said, so that's correlation then, right? He wouldn't have it, but he just wouldn't have any of my points. He just denied everything, so I just had to concede him. Not concede, but move
on that point now, he's saying if time, then star appear. Then what? You're supposed to say yeah, and then okay, Nathan's going to ask you, how do you what?
No, we're going to formulate the null next. This is the bit that I was trying to talk you into earlier, Spurs. So I just need him to go through it a step at a time, though, and actually get him to verbalise it. That's what I'm doing. I'm not doing it because I know the conclusion already, Spurs. Don't worry.
I know. I want Anthony to go through it. That's the point.
Me too. So, Anthony. So we've got so far, if time, then the appearance of star. Yes?
If time, magical appearance of star, yes.
Okay, and the null hypothesis would therefore be...
If no time, then no star.
No. If time...
If
time, no star appearance. If A, not B.
If time, then no star, yes.
Okay. Now, explain to me how we're going to vary time to see if it causes this. We're going to turn it on or off, or basically vary and manipulate the assumed cause. How are we going to...
I've got this DeLorean, right, and it's got a flux capacitor.
On the really is level, how are we going to vary and manipulate that which we are assuming causes time?
Say what Craig
I'm going to
said.
sit there and watch it, because natural observations are science, Nathan.
You're not varying it.
No, but we can watch things.
You've got to
let
manipulate
nature take its course.
No. An independent variable.
Yeah, we can just watch it.
No. Vary it.
Yeah, I'm not accepting the 10 citations that you've got for independent variables that need to be manipulated. I'm telling you, and I've got a physics degree, that I can just watch it.
Hold on, you're playing Craig right now. Is that his fucking response?
Yeah, that's what he said.
Then the guy just needs a slap.
I know. That's what I didn't leave me temper. I had to just move on because
he has a physics degree.
He just denied.
Oh, no, done. Spurs is rumpusing you. Go on, Spurs. Feel free.
I'm just saying that he said to Anthony, I've got the physics degree. I do physics. You don't do physics. You can't tell me what science is.
Respect my authority!
Yeah.
But what would you say, Nathan, at this point? What would you have said? No, seriously.
Who am I, though? Am I me?
Calm and get through it successfully and say, look.
What do you think he would have said?
What would you say, Nathan? What would you say?
What would my response to Craig be when he says that I don't accept that you need to vary a variable?
Yeah.
I would probably laugh at him.
Like
how would you get him to see that you are right and he is wrong? I think that's what
my usual technique, Spurs, is to say the word really slowly. So I'd say, so Craig, you're under the misapprehension that you don't need to vary a variable. Is that correct? And I'd see what his reply was.
I'm a physicist. I have the PhD, and I get paid millions to do science. What authority do you have, Nathan? That's what
I'm just asking a question.
This is what he said.
That doesn't answer my question I posed to Craig. What is the answer to this specific question? I've got to slow it down even more. Are you under the misapprehension that you don't need to vary a variable? Second time asking. But you obviously behaving like Craig because you haven't answered. I don't know why I'm asking the devil's advocate twice. Just need a yeah. Yeah, I am actually under the delusional misapprehension that you don't need to vary a variable. Kind of like gaseous not being gas. This is the kind of fuckwittery we deal with, Spurs.
That is what I asked him, Nathan.
you're saying to Anthony here, this is what, he kind of like said, okay, let's move on to the next point kind of thing, which was probably, the best
hold
thing
on,
to do.
Spurs. You're thinking that by Nathan asking him, you don't think you need to vary a variable. You don't think that's going to make him see that he's wrong, right?
No, he's going to say
you're not expecting these guys that we're debating to see that they're wrong. The point is for the audience that's listening.
You're asking Spurs that. Spurs knows the answer's no. He knows he's dealing with zealots.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah. I mean, like I said,
but then he did say, but then how would you convince him he's wrong? That's the whole point. He's never going to say I'm wrong about that. Sure, you need to vary a variable. No.
I literally asked him point blank, do you need to manipulate an independent variable? And he didn't answer the question, so I went back to it and I said, yes or no, do you need to manipulate an independent variable? I can't actually remember what his answer was, but we ended up losing the point. We had to move on because he just wouldn't concede.
You have to choose which variable first, Anthony. He said two things.
You got to get back to wiggling. Got to wiggle.
Variable. He said time and distance. So which one is it? You have to choose. It's an independent. Can't be two things.
At this point, Anthony, this is where I think I almost texted you, and I was going to say this is where we should ask for a demonstration then, because if you're going to accept that you don't need to vary, well then you want to know how he knows what he knows, right? So, and that's when if he can't do that and show his expertise or profession, I think that's where it kind of ends at that point. If he's just telling you a story.
Then it's not science, correct?
For a demonstration is something that he can't demonstrate. You don't even have an experiment if you haven't manipulated the variable. What are you doing?
Now you're
going to waste 20 minutes asking him to demonstrate the thing he said he can't even do.
Nature can manipulate independent variables. Well, the experimenter doesn't have to do it.
Oh my God!
That was what
nature can manipulate the independent variable. Rumpus.
That's called correlation.
Is nature performing the experiment? Rumpus, is nature performing the experiment?
Sorry,
or would that be the person?
I still didn't hear the start of your question because you overtalked.
You said nature manipulates the variable. Is nature performing the experiment?
No, but you can get nature to change independent variables, and you can just use the fact those are varied by nature. You don't have to.
Independent variable.
Insane.
Is that gonna be your new thing, Rumpus? Is that gonna be your new answer?
All right. So look, this is the point you see. So Rumpus, how can you demonstrate how you're knowing something by varying independent variables? How should demonstrate?
In an experiment, right? In an experiment, you only want to vary one, but there could be lots of independent variables you could decide in your experiment that you're going to vary.
Out of your mind.
Let the other ones become controlled variables. So, for instance, in the Cavendish experiment, you've got three variables.
Don't educate us.
You've got three variables, and you can decide which ones are controlled and which ones are your independent variable. You can decide.
I just want to point out that
you decide an experiment to pick on one of the variables and have the others as control variables. So those controlled variables are not varied. So you have a variable that isn't changed.
Thank you. Everyone, hold on. Stop. Hello.
Guys,
hello.
Remember what he said?
Hello. Can you stop talking, please? Sleeping Warrior, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Please, do you want to go through this, what's on screen for us now? Just ascertain a few of these points with Rumpus.
Okay, Rumpus. What was the natural phenomena observed in the Eddington experiment?
Cavendish.
Oh, Cavendish. Are we doing Cavendish? Okay, so what's the natural phenomena that Cavendish observes?
Mass attracting mass.
Okay. So the alternative hypothesis would be if maths attracts. If maths attracts.
Hold on, Anthony. Sorry, hold on. Anthony, hold on.
Yeah, we know which way. We know which way it goes round. The alternative hypothesis is that it does attract, and the null hypothesis it isn't. Yeah, okay.
Sorry, you said that very quickly. We're taking our time. There's no rush here. So Anthony just needs to establish, without interruption, first the independent variable, because obviously we've already got the dependent variable. That's mass attracting mass, according to you. So the independent variable will be what?
Well, you can pick on one of three in your experiment, because there are three factors, there are three causes to the mass attracting mass. There's the distance between it and the value of the two masses. So in the Cavendish experiment, he varied the mass, one of the masses, and he kept one of the other masses constant, and he kept the distance constant.
Sorry,
so you can then
sorry.
one of the variables.
Okay, thank you. So mass.
Sorry.
So you say he varied the mass?
Yes, he varied the masses. One of the masses, he changed that. Yes.
Okay, so
he did several experiments. So
okay,
the
there's no rush, Rumpus. Just establishing.
Well, I'm interrupted, so I normally have to get my words
I'm just clarifying what you've said. Thank you. So we've established, Anthony, from Rumpus, just so we've got clarity with you. Obviously, I'm interjecting, but I'm hopefully training you in doing this without being patronising.
Well, I mean, you interrupted me, so that's why
I wasn't talking to you, Rumpus. I was talking to Sleeping Warrior. I think Rumpus doesn't understand that. So Sleeping Warrior.
Okay.
So we've established with Rumpus that his independent variable is mass.
Is mass.
Yeah. We've established that. We've also established that the natural phenomena is mass attracting mass. Okay?
Yep.
So now we can formulate that, hopefully without interruption, into
the alternative hypothesis. If mass, then mass attracts mass.
You see how easy it is, Anthony? You see how easy it is? Yeah?
Yeah. I did try pointing this out to Craig, but he didn't understand it, and he just insisted that I didn't know what I was talking about. So
now what follows from here will be a constant obfuscation tactic from Rumpus. This is my useful moment to point out that when they've been humiliated with their own total nonsense, they think it's their opportunity while we laugh at them to talk constantly.
That's too complicated for you.
See, this is him in the background talking non-stop. So basically, while we've been highlighting just how stupid this is, it's on screen for the audience. We've written it down based on what he said. He thinks that the best tactic at this point is to talk constantly, right? Because that's all he's got left. That's all that's left in the tank after we've humiliated his dumbass with this nonsense just by writing down what he said. You with me, Anthony?
Yeah, I totally get it. But when you've got Fight the Flat Earth that's just saying that you're stupid, you don't understand what you're talking about, no, you're wrong, there's nowhere to go other than to just move on.
Yeah, here, though, when Rumpus does that, I shut down the Discord line while we have a good laugh at if mass, then mass attracts mass. Now, it would be critical for Rumpus to continually interrupt us slowing down and highlighting his total nonsense that is definitely not an observed phenomena and definitely not a valid hypothesis. So the Cavendish experiment is definitely not science. Now, if I didn't have the ability to shut his dumb ass up, he'd have interrupted every word of that, wouldn't he? But we've got it written down. It doesn't matter how long it takes, but you can be damn sure he'll be trying to stop that being concisely summarised, even though we've written it down.
And, by the way, we didn't have him define mass. That would have been another circle jerk of epic proportions, belly laugher. I'll just stick with this. It's easier. He doesn't have a science acumen. He wouldn't know what science was if it landed on his face, spun around and whistled Dixie. He just exposed himself that he couldn't pass fifth grade general science. Thank you.
There you go. So that's why it's been done for the last 2.5 years. And it's a very, very sharpened tool, QE. Doesn't look like much on screen, right? Yeah, it's a pretty sharp tool though, isn't it?
Did he say you could have three independent
when you read it, it's even better. It's like
sorry, do you want to hold on, Chocolate? Hold on.
Mass attracting mass.
Hold on, Chocolate. Yeah. Neil, can you just ask and answer your own question, please?
Did he say that you can have three independent variables?
So that would be plural variables, 3 of them, and independent. Like Lone Rangers, right?
Okay, now hold on a
It's
second.
hysterical.
1 second. You can have 3 independent variables, but they have to be 3 independent hypotheses. You can't have 3 independent variables in a single hypothesis.
Correct. He attempted to convolute that by saying, well, you hold one of them constant. Well, it's like, well, then you've got a separate hypothesis being formulated with a new presumed cause. The fact that it was formerly held constant is absolutely essential and goes without saying for every experiment ever, because they've got an independent variable and everything that's not that is held constant.
Yep.
So it goes without saying.
Like careful if they try to weasel out of it, right? Or they say they're just not clear. They're ambiguous at best, right? So another thing he said, let's just deal with this. He's also said that nature can manipulate the independent variable. Did I hear him correctly?
Yes.
Yeah.
He definitely said that.
That's what I heard.
Okay,
That's gonna
we're
be their
looking
new
at
argument.
independent variables. Colorado State, independent manipulated variable changed by the scientist. Nature is not alive. It doesn't manipulate anything. It's not sentient. In an experiment from Rutgers University, the independent variable is a variable that is varied or manipulated by the researcher. Boston College, notice that the manipulation of the independent variable must involve the active intervention of the researcher. And by the way, from Boston College, of course, there are many situations in which the independent variable cannot be manipulated for practical or ethical reasons, and therefore an experiment is not possible. Been telling you these for almost 5 years now.
Perfect.
From couple more. Institute of Physics, independent variable, the variable that is deliberately changed by the experimenter. From the University of Southern California, the variable that is stable and unaffected by other variables you are trying to measure. It refers to the condition of the experiment that is systematically manipulated by nature or the investigator. It is the presumed cause.